So I remember like they would have these surprise random checks at school to see if anyone had added any extensions into their hair. And I got pulled to the side, and not just only pulled to the side and punished pending them checking, because they were so sure that I had put in extensions, braiding hair into my hair to get it to the length that it was. Hey you, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I really would love to get to know you. Here on this channel, we talk everything womanhood, faith, and calling. And so if it's something you're interested in, please stick around. And if you've been here for a while, welcome back. Today, I want to talk about something that is somewhat a distinguishing factor or a topic that comes up pretty often. And it's been this way since I was a child. As we talk about womanhood and beauty and those kind of things, and it's hair. Yeah, hair. Hair has been a very big part of my life since I was little. And I'll tell you why. So, growing up, on my mom's side, my grandma had long, luscious, gray hair. And so obviously genetically that kind of got passed down. My mom, the same thing, myself, the same thing. So it was always a topic of conversation because there was this limited belief that African hair had a limit to how long it could grow. And really, it's just the misinformation as well as colonialism. Okay, this idea that Black was less desired, less quality. And so it was just always a topic of conversation because with my hair, my family hair, it seemed to be breaking the norm or the stereotype of what people thought was beautiful, what people thought was possible even. I remember one time being in a bus with a few friends, and we could hear like chatters behind us. And I wasn't really dialed into the conversation until I heard someone say, let's bet and see. And then someone tapped me from behind. I turn around and she says, is that your hair? And I go, yeah. And there was obviously chaos and commotion. So essentially they were betting to see if my hair was mine. So for context, obviously you're born, you have your natural, at least for me, 4B, 4C. I'm 4C in the front and around. And in the back, I'm a 4B texture. Anyways, I grew up and I had my hair natural until I believe I was about 9, 10. And again, with the lack of information, the lack of desire, the lack of care, and that was born, I think, out of being time conscious. People didn't want to take the time to take care of natural hair. So my hair was pulled and prodded. It would hurt all the time. And I just wanted to be like my friends who got a perm in their hair because it just seemed like their hair was so much easier to manage when it got relaxed. And so I remember begging my mom for a perm when I was younger, and she would say, no. And at the time I was just like, oh my God, you're not the one dealing with this. Your hair has a perm in it. So why won't my hair have a perm? You're just being mean. But not realizing, I guess, right, that she had a level of information on hair than I did at the time. So what seemed like her being mean was actually her taking care of my natural hair. So anyways, eventually she agreed to, give me a perm as I was getting ready to go into secondary school, which for my non-Nigerian, non-African friends, that probably would be like going into grade 7, so middle school. Was when I got my first perm. And I remember, the perm went in. I remember the slight tingling sensation that was going on my scalp. And after that wash, and her putting it in some rollers and combing it out and feeling like, oh, tresses. Obviously, I didn't have that terminology, but it just was like, oh my God, my hair is super long. And people obviously like just being in awe at how long my hair was. I even remember in secondary school, we weren't allowed to have like weaves or attachments in our hair, braids. Like our hair was braided, but you could not have any additional attachment to it, right? So I remember like they would have these surprise random checks at school to see if anyone had added any extensions into their hair. And I got pulled to the side, and not just only pulled to the side and punished pending them checking, because they were so sure that I had put in extensions, braiding hair into my hair to get it to the length that it was. And I'm hoping that I can find a picture to put it in here so you can see the length of my hair at the time. But again, what can I say? It just, yeah. And then I remember after getting punished, and they went around and then they got to my hair and they took the braids out, and it was just like, oh, that's your hair, get up and go. And I'm just like, I've always been a justice person. And I was just like, what? Okay, so who's gonna braid this now? Like, you guys are not gonna braid it. Who's gonna braid it now? Anyways, long and short of the story, that was how I was, let go. I was already late to class. It was just, I was so flustered, so frustrated, and so angry that something that, the Lord had blessed me with, that was natural to me, I was being almost like picked on without cause, essentially. So again, there were a lot of pros to the length of my hair, but there were also like a bit of cons there as well, because of people's limited belief when it comes to natural African hair. Yeah. So anyways, I had my hair relaxed all the way through secondary school. And as with relaxer, right? Like, obviously, if you're maintaining it well, there's some level of life, but your hair like feels limp. And I say limp because obviously I'm a natural girl now again. And the texture of my hair, like the sheer volume of the hair, I'm just like, yeah, my hair was so limp when it was relaxed. But anyways, when I moved to the States, I think I went to the salon one time, and when Miss Lady took like $120 to give me a wash, it wasn't even a set. It was like a wash, blow dry, and like curling iron situation. And obviously after a while, the curls just fell because there was no hold. I was like, never again. So I started to do my own hair. I started to, figure out what products were going to work. And that's how I got into being more intentional about doing my own hair. And then realizing, oh, wait, I actually do enjoy doing my own hair. It takes a lot of work and it's an arm workout, but I actually enjoy this. And then whenever it was time for breaks, so I would get my hair permed. I think it was 3 times or 2 times a year, when I would go over to my aunt's in Georgia for Christmas, for the summer. Yes, I think it was like summer and Christmas time. That's when I would get perm, so twice a year. And then I would wash it and do all the things I needed to do, whether that was putting that in rollers. And then I started to use a lot more heat than was necessary, I think, just for styling purposes. And then I just noticed my hair started to get a little more brittle. But again, it was still lengthy. I was fine with it. I could manipulate it. No big deal. And then, hold on, I'm thinking what happened afterwards. Then it was time to go to grad school. Now, I went to grad school in Indiana, which is in the Midwest. And so I knew that I was not necessarily going to be going back to Georgia as often as I did when I lived in Tennessee, which is where undergrad was. You guys know this. I've shared the story of where I went to undergrad. If you haven't seen that, the link will be underneath in the description, so you can watch that video. Anyways, so I moved to the Midwest and I'm like, what am I gonna do? So it was sometime in August of 2015. Yeah, August of 2015 that I got my last perm. Now, when I got that perm, I was not intending for it to necessarily be my last perm. I hadn't come to a conclusion that I was going to be natural. I just knew that there was now a challenge of how was I going to navigate doing my hair in this place and the upkeep of it, because I didn't really know I did not know anyone when I moved to Indiana. And so it was while I was in Indiana that I decided to, you know what, I think I'm just going to switch to being natural, because in that way, I don't need any special support for my hair. I didn't need anyone to perm my hair. And I just honestly wasn't bold enough to perm my own hair. That was where I drew the line. So I decided after a few months that I was going to long transition. I wasn't going to do a big chop because I didn't know what I was going to look like. Okay. And I'm trying to be cute. Okay, so let's figure that out. So I started to long transition, which means I started to chop off parts of my hair over a period of time. And then I would put my hair in braids. Okay, so for a few months, I didn't have to manipulate it. I wasn't touching it. And I was doing my braids myself. It's so crazy to me that I was more willing to do braids myself than to just put a relaxer on my scalp. But story for a different day. So I would put my hair in braids, and then whenever I would take them out 2-3 months after, it would have, my natural hair would have grown a bit. Then I would do another chop of my relaxed hair up until one day. And I think this was sometime in 2016, I was like, yeah, this having two textures in my hair business where the top is super poofy and then the ends, it just was so, I was like, this is annoying me. And one thing about me when it comes to my hair, I can be quite impulsive. So, like I could be impulsive and be like, you know what, today I want honey blonde braids, and so I'm just gonna get honey blonde braids. Now, it wasn't anything that's gonna permanently alter my hair, but this decision to finally chop off all of my hair that was relaxed and just go with the fro, like that's where we were at. I did that, I believe was 2016, and I hope I still have a picture to show you guys kind of what my first, like, okay, I'm a fully natural babe. This is me. This is where I'm at. And this is what I have to work with. And so from then on, I just went into the routine of maintaining my natural hair. Now, here's the thing. I remember when I was like, okay, I'm really irritated with this hair and I need to cut off this relaxed hair off, like be all done. I remember going into the beauty supply store at the time, walking through the aisles and just being so overwhelmed by the sheer amount of products that were available to me. And I didn't know, like, what did this one do? What did that one do? And obviously at the time, this is when YouTube tutorials, YouTube, learnings was on the high, right? Like all the natural girls were saying, this is the product I'm doing. The brands were sending PR packages. Like this was peak YouTube beauty era. If you remember it, write in the comments and be like, I was there. Okay. And so I remember walking through the aisles, and after a while I was just getting really, really overwhelmed, and I stopped in the middle of that aisle. I turned and looked at the products and I said, Jesus, highlight to me what product I need to be using on this transitioning hair, because I don't know what to do. I know that the products I'm currently using aren't working because I felt like it was drying my hair out, and my hair was getting more tangled just because it was half and half. Anyways, I was like, highlight something to me. And I remember turning around, looking at the aisle, and the first thing that popped up to me was this Elasta QP shampoo. First of all, I'm like, what is this name? But I'm like, do you know what? I prayed, and this is the first thing I saw. So this product is going to work for my hair, okay? Because I'm not about to waste the money that I don't have as a grad student trying 1 million different shampoos. So I picked up Elasta QP, and for the longest time, I would use Elasta QP, and it worked fantastically well. I really, really enjoyed the product. I think it did exactly what it was supposed to do. And then when I cut off my hair, the relaxed portion, that is, I'm like, okay, I need to find something that's going to work. And I wasn't necessarily against using Elastic QP the entire time, but I will say I remember feeling like this is not giving me enough slip, at least with the conditioner, to do what I need to do with my hair. So I need to find something else. And at the time, I was enrolled in this program called Influencer. They still exist. And I got sent some shampoo. Yeah, I got sent. No, it wasn't Influencer. Let's scratch that. The beauty supply store where it was from my house, I didn't have a car, so it would take me, I'm just thinking about all the Ubering that I'll have to take, and I'm just like, this is not feasible. But there was a Kroger that was like maybe a 7-10 minute walk from my campus, so I would walk to Kroger, and I'm like, I wonder if there's anything here that would work for me. And that's when I got into Aussie. Listen, the Aussie conditioner till today, and it was so like inexpensive, and I could get the big jar, and they were always going on sale. And so that's how I became an Aussie girly from when I was fully natural. And then I remember feeling like, I don't know that I like the Aussie shampoo per se. And then I had at that point been watching a lot of YouTube videos, and one of the things that came up was the African Pride. This is when African Pride had just launched. So I'm wondering if I got African Pride in the Influencer PR package. And I tried it, and I said, I am sold. So then I would go between, I would use the African Pride shampoo and then use the Aussie conditioner. And I was doing that from time to time. And mind you, every time I would go back to Nigeria though, I had a friend. Her name, still a friend. I have a friend. Her name is Modupe. And when we were in high school, she was the one, when I went to boarding house that one year, she was the one who used to do my hair. And so she had opened a salon. So every time I would go to Nigeria, I would go there to get my hair treated, and I would go there to get my hair braided. And so she then started to mass produce her shampoo. And that's when I started using the Hair Center shampoo, conditioner. What really got me was the mango butter that they had. Listen, I don't know how to explain to you how hydrated my hair felt. I'm like, this product, yeah, this is the one for me. And ever since then, whenever I would go to Nigeria, or if someone is coming over here, they always bring me a supply of the Hair Center's products. I'm really, really excited to start this hair journey with you guys, because Modupe was actually here in Canada a few months ago, and we got around to chatting, and I'll show you some of the things that we did while she was here. I cannot wait to go on this hair care journey with you guys. Again, because I really believe that no matter where you are in your hair journey, whether you're a natural girly like me or you're relaxed, I feel like there's so many underlying layers and viewpoints that impact the way that we show up with our hair. And I get into some of that conversation with my friend Modupe. So I just wanted to start off this conversation of letting you guys know, especially now that it's been 10 years since I went natural. So I'm really, really excited to bring you all into this journey with me as I tell you more about hair care and the glory that comes with our hair. And I know that this video might not seem applicable for every single person in the world because we all have different kinds of hair. But if you're part of my community and this is something you're interested in, please stick around. Write in the comments, are you a natural girly? Are you relaxed? Are you, listen, I cut the whole thing off? Where are you in your hair care journey, especially as a 4A, 4B, 4C sister? I would love to know. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video where we get a little more in depth with Modupe talking about our hair and the approaches that we have with our hair. I'm also going to be putting a lot of clips on Instagram over the next few weeks. So please make sure that you are following on Instagram as well as on TikTok. T with DMM. That's my name everywhere. And I can't wait to connect with you. See you guys in the next video. Bye.